One Piece chapter 1179 is shaping up to be one of the biggest in the history of the series. In this video, we'll be going over every single spoiler that's been released for the chapter thus far. We'll begin by talking about the brief spoilers for the chapter before diving into the full spoilers which have just been announced. Fittingly, this chapter is titled The Incarnation of Nerona Imu. So let's go into the brief spoilers. The five elders try to stop Imu from leaving the castle, suggesting that they send an admiral or go themselves instead. We then cut to Elbaf, where Gerd finds Summer's heart while Zoro has an idea to destroy it. Imu is seen appearing at a magic circle in Orist Castle and begins to transform amidst a massive burst of Conqueror's Haki. So this is the main reveal of this chapter. We finally see Imu, who appears to be a male with a beautiful face, tanned skin, long white hair, wings, horns, and a devil tail, generally a distinctive design. His introduction box is one of the 20 founders of the world government, special power Devil Fruit, king of the world Saint Nerona Imu. And yes, there is a break next week after this massive revelation. This then ties into the description of Imu, which was also leaked. As Imu settles at the topmost tower of Orist Castle, he emanates a strong force of Conqueror's Haki. Some of the houses and trees around Elbaf start to come alive, laughing with evil faces. Imu appears to be male with handsome features, black clouds surrounding him, and he has long horns that are similar to Kaido and the ancient giants, but they curve twice, thus forming the letter S. He is not wearing any upper clothing, but he has a cape with a logo. Only half of it is visible. He has tanned skin, which is similar to a Lunarian, so think of King, and he also has a devil-like tail, the same one seen piercing Sabo. He also has white circular tattoos all over his body, including an eye tattoo on his right hand. He also has a tattoo on the left side of his face. He possesses the same black Hagoromo clouds seen in Awakened Zoan users like Lucci and the Five Elders. However, instead of swirly cloud patterns, his clouds have eyes. These are similar to those of a biblically accurate angel often depicted online. He wields a polearm weapon. The butt end tip has black clouds, while the blade is zigzagged and curved at the tip. We can see a trickle of blood coming out of the left side of his mouth. So these were the early spoilers released for chapter 1179, The Incarnation of Nerona Imu. Now we'll be diving into the full spoilers that have just been released. So when it comes to Imu's full name, it's revealed to be Saint Nerona Imu. Imu's introductory box uses the kanji for the male saint title of a celestial dragon, so this 100% confirms that Imu is a male. There are also details about the full conversation between the Gorosei, who tried to reason with Imu to stop them from going to the lower world. Walkery says, "Don't tell us you're heading for Elbaf." Shepard adds, "Please stop, you going down to the lower world is..." Garling then enters the room of authority, stating, "What a deliberate thing to say. How long do you think that the Holy Land will remain secure?" Mars says Garling's name as Garling continues, "With Shamrock's return, the situation somewhat got under control, but the starvation tactic in the lower world is still continuing. No matter how important one appears to be, what can authoritative figures do if they can't even fill their own bellies?" This is pretty interesting to see Garling pretty much acting like the boss of the other Gorosei despite him being the newest addition to the group. Also, it shows how the tactics of the revolutionary army have become so effective that even the Gorosei and Imu are affected. Get a bit more context behind Garling's comments, with York calling Garling, asking where the food is as she is starving. She says this isn't what they agreed on and that this isn't how a celestial dragon lives. Garling goes on to explain the food shortage to her and says that producing the Mother Flame would resolve the current situation. He reminds York that her main body, Vegapunk, was also one of the rebels who caused this situation, as he tells her to take responsibility for it. She literally picked the worst time to become a celestial dragon, and it's perfect karma. She truly deserves everything that is happening to her because of what she did to Vegapunk. So continuing on, Imu prepares to leave the Holy Land, but three of the five elders, Walkery, Jupiter, and Mars, strongly oppose it. V, Nustero, and Garling, on the other hand, are resigned to the fact that Imu can't be stopped. The way that the five elders are trying to stop Imu suggests that something negative will happen to him if he leaves the Holy Land, especially Pangaea Castle. Jupiter says, "Imu-sama, you must not leave Pangaea Castle." Imu says, "I leave the Holy Land in your hands. As one of the elders adds, Imu-sama, but you going down to the lower world is, but then Garling interrupts them by saying we don't have the authority to stop him. Mars tries to interject saying but, as Walkyrie adds, Imu-sama, if you leave this castle, as Nusjiro says we don't need to remind him of that. Jupiter says he's already prepared for it, no one can stop him now. Imu then goes to this center of a big abyss magical circle and vanishes. A lot of speculation here about what will happen to Imu once they leave the castle. Fans have assumed that he will be negatively impacted, like being nerfed, hence why we see blood on his lips at the end of chapter 1179. Some have commented that Imu is sea cursed, so the closer that he gets to the sea, the more sick he becomes. In this chapter there are some funny scenes involving the Straw Hats, as Gerd and Goldberg present the captured Summers and his steel heart to Hadruddin and Zoro. Gerd pulls Summers apart and says he's like a magnet and it's crazy. Summers says that she's the scary one. Hadruddin says a steel heart, as Zoro adds, could it be? If we destroy this, these bastards won't return to normal. Summers has a shocked look on his face, like when someone's secret has been exposed. We then cut to Frankie, as Frankie says, get a grip Usopp, Brook, your bones are broken, shall I turn you into cyborgs? Usopp and Brook both gulp as Jinbei asks where's Chopper. The 3 sections of Killingham's body appear to be hung on a tree, as Killingham says, I won't forget your name, Sanji, now say my name, as Sanji says, I forgot. So funny to see the Straw Hats clowning on the almighty Holy Knights. It was better when these guys remained in the shadows, because the more that we're seeing of them, the more they're appearing to be frauds. So next we cut to Imu's scene in the chapter before leaving the Holy Land. As Garling says, disasters keep piling up, and this all has been happening since Nika appeared. Walkyrie says, is it a coincidence or inevitability? Jupiter says, but be that as it may, Imu-sama, you must not leave Pangaea Castle. Walkyrie says, in that case, we should send admirals from Marine headquarters to Elbaf. Nusjiro says, no, just look at the number of incidents occurring right now, their hands are full. Walkyrie says, then we shall once again, referring to the Gorosei taking action, but Imu interrupts Walkyrie saying this is no longer a coincidence or arrogance, sloth, estrangement or pride. Cast them all aside this instant, everything is an inevitability. Imu then reminisces about some important events that have transpired. We see a panel of Rocks as Rock says I'll be coming back. We get a panel of Roger as Roger says try searching for it. We see Neptune's family panel and it seems that Neptune had a daughter that was born. Shanks's panel says the devil fruit was stolen. Harold's panel says is there something on Elbaf? And Loki's panel says we've learned who is the captain of the pirates in the mist. It's Loki, Harold's son. There are also panels dedicated to Whitebeard and Luffy with the quote saying he was protected by Whitebeard. Who is he? Monkey D. Luffy. Then the Blackbeard panel says who is that? Marshall D. Teach. Then the Cobra panel has Cobra saying Nefertari D. Lily. Imu slashes up the wanted posters of Luffy and Teach as Imu says Joy Boy, Davy Jones, are you all still tormenting Mu? Imu looks at Lily's portrait panel as he states I want Vivi. Back to the present, Imu prepares to use the Abyss to leave the Holy Land and go to Elbaf. Imu says it had already begun a long time ago. Yeah, some people have noted that Imu is not just fighting the characters of the present, he is in fact haunted by the Void Century itself, as he's dealing with those who have inherited the wills of individuals from the Void Century. This has led people to believe that Blackbeard and Luffy are in fact going to team up against Imu. And again, this is a very controversial theory, because who on earth wants Blackbeard, the guy who captured Ace and led to his death, teaming up with Luffy? Again, questions arise as to why Imu is interested in Vivi. We then turn to the final scenes of the chapter. Luffy, Loki and Ragnar arrive at the Walrus School. Loki says, why is the school frozen? Lilith says, not quite, its thermal energy has been taken. The three then begin eating the lunch in the school as it's all frozen, as Loki says, no Lockhart, the school lunches are frozen too as they taste awful. Luffy says, I need to give some to Usopp and the others too. Loki says, you need to turn back to normal first. As Luffy responds saying, Loki, the one you froze earlier, is she dead? Loki says, that's flash freezing, she won't die, but only this guy can melt that ice, pointing at Ragnar. She's not going anywhere, so don't worry. We then cut to Nami and Zeus as both of them sense something. There's a dawn as a huge pillar of black smoke cloud lightning descends from the sky. It's the same as the time when the Gorosei arrived at Egghead. Nami screams out as the giants ask what is that? That's just black smoke, isn't it? The giants also scream, yelling out, look at the sky. A An enormous pentagram magic circle is seen in the sky above Orest Castle. A magic circle, the giants exclaim. Nami says everyone come and look. Frankie asks what's with these echoing trees. Sanji in his usual demeanor says, I'm right by your side, Nami. A giant pentagram magic circle appears in the sky. The abyss, black pillars of smoke, clouds and lightning descend from each point of the pentagram as trees and houses begin to come alive with evil looks on their faces and they start to sing. The giants are shocked at what they are seeing as they wonder if this is all a dream. Even the trees of the forest have come alive as they wonder, is this someone's ability being used once again? A giant black pillar of smoke, clouds, lightning erupts from the center of the pentagram magic circle and it strikes Orest Castle. A massive wave of Conqueror's Haki bursts across all of Elbaf. The giant kids are fainting as we see Colin and Olaf faint. Chopper is clinging to Zoro's head as Zoro exclaims Conqueror's Haki. Loki says it's coming from the castle. Hey, this Haki, it was from earlier. Inside Orest Castle's throne room, Imu appears at the same magic circle where Shamrock and Gunko arrived from. Imu's silhouette is still the slender figure with a three-pointed crown on his head, as Imu is coughing and exhaling heavily. Then there's a splat as a lot of blood is coughed up by Imu, and we see some of the coughed up blood pooling on the ground. Imu is then seen breathing heavily and really struggling, as we can see Imu's silhouette start to shift. A silhouette of black wings can be seen sprouting from his back. The throne room then explodes, as Jarl asks who's that. Imu gets to the topmost tower of Orest Castle. As Killingham says, the Great One, Summer says no way, he came here personally. Giants say on the peak of the castle there's someone there. Then we get Imu's introductory box, the World Government Creator, one of the first 20. Ability equals Devil Fruit. The second introductory box states King of the World, Saint Nerona Imu, as the end note of the chapter is Descent. Now something to take note of is that Imu's Devil Fruit ability is Akuma no Mi, Devil Fruit, written in Japanese with the word Akuma, devil, rather than in the usual kanji that Devil Fruit is written as. It is interesting to see Imu struggling to be in the lower realm. This has led some to believe that Imu is about to transform Summers and Killingham into next level monsters. Also, we are clearly hearing drums of oppression here. This is a great contrast to Luffy's drums of liberation. But yeah, these are pretty much all of the spoilers that we have for chapter 1179. What do you think about the reveal of Saint Nerona Imu, King of the World? Obviously, I can't show any of the details from the chapter within this video, otherwise it's going to be taken down. But if you have seen the designs for Imu, let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.